One of the key differentiators is the volume of output that Promo delivers for clients. In our value prop, we say the average mid-market marketing agency is giving you 11 pieces of content a month on average. So 2 blogs, 2 social posts a week, 1 email newsletter a month. That's 11 pieces of content. You'll pay $6,500 a month for that on average with a marketing agency. ProMode is giving you 125 pieces of content. So by sheer volume, we are overshadowing your competition with valuable, good content. So that next turn up of the volume is a key differentiator in our value prop. But that had me thinking, what happens in 3 years, 4 years when AI marketing adoption becomes ubiquitous? And let's say if today 50% of B2B companies use an agency, in 3 years, what if 50% of companies are using an AI platform and that volume of increase in their output becomes the new standard, right? If the average becomes something more like 80 pieces of content a month as an output because it's now affordable for companies to achieve that because of AI, right? We're saving on all of that overhead and producing things much faster. What happens to the internet experience, if you will, for all of us? I mean by that more pointedly is, social media algorithms and our experience online, our email inbox. What is the result of everyone producing so much more content in the marketplace? Like what happens? Is nothing effective anymore? How will the landscape shift and that competitive advantage be gained in that space?
So so you kind of brought this up yesterday. I think about this. Maggie gets so upset at me because I will go on a 20-minute rant about this at least once a week. So, okay, I want to kind of unpack this like bit by bit, so your overall question is like, what happens when AI becomes another form of compute, right? So in this instance, let's for the sake of the first part of the discussion, uh, let's consider large language models and AI a replacement for our keyboard. Okay, so we're just saying because somebody does not need to use a keyboard to get these ideas out anymore, it would lead you to believe that more ideas are put out there as a result of the latency issue with me needing to type something in. Okay. Because I don't want to go like too far into like the realm of AGI and agents. We'll get there eventually, but just for the sake of this discussion, let's assume that becomes the case. More people begin to outsource their typing to large language models. So it's just compute. I don't want to put any like woo woo artificial general intelligence sentience to the question for now, but just let's say we have reduced the lag time between my ideas and somebody else because we've eliminated the keyboard out of the equation, which is a major bottleneck in time. So let's just call AI generated content. A robot is using your keyboard for you. Okay. Um, so let's also kind of frame the discussion around the history of social media. So social media first came out and it was free for all users. It started off as like a peer-to-peer non-business sharing platform. Like, Heather, you would check in at Sonic, like, you know, get my like whatever somebody gets at Sonic or whatever the case may be, like or what's everybody up to tonight? Meet
Yeah,
up in the quad.
right. Because it was a college campus communication platform.
Exactly. Um, so as that as that grew in popularity, these companies continued to get more funding from different venture capital and private equity groups because they were losing money. They had to, set up all of these servers. They had to hire employees, they had to write code, but there was no actual monetization that's occurring on the platform. Enter like, probably, 2008, like the Obama campaign really let the cat out of the bag as
Mm.
far as like politics and business can really get a phenomenal bang for their buck on these platforms. So then advertising became a thing that occurred. Oh, this is how we're going to monetize these platforms. We're going to sell ads. We can have sponsored posts. And we have all of this data on these people, so we can just serve them up really great ads. And it is compared to the alternative at the time, like mind you, at the time, compared to direct mail, compared to like door-to-door situations. I mean, it was phenomenal. I mean,
Yeah.
it was like, I think I ran my first Facebook ads for a business I owned in like 2013 or 14. Heather was crazy. I would have put like $20 a week to the thing. I mean, like legitimately, I think the highest budget had back then was $250 a month. And it was my lead cost was in the like single digits lead costs. Now for a similar business, you're in the three, four, $500 range, right? So it's a natural consequence that if this is the monetization strategy, and once it goes from early adopters to legacy Fortune 500 companies are now have an ad spend on these platforms, the cost gets driven up.
Hmm.
And now that these platforms are publicly traded, there's further incentive to say, if you have a commercial interest on this platform, our singular focus is for you to pay to be on the platform.
Hmm.
So that leads to the natural consequence that leads to is if your organic reach will be throttled, you have two options. You pay to play or you increase volume, and it becomes a numbers game. Um, so that has, and then AI is now the large language models that are outsourcing we're outsourcing keyboard work to large language models. We have just entered into the beginning phase where you can start to play that game back at these platforms. So they're saying
Hmm.
you got to pay to play. And we know that you're not going, the tipping point for you in cost is the cost to not pay to play is greater than the cost to pay.
Hmm.
Are you tracking me? So like, if I just if I boosted every post or like sponsored every post, whatever the case may be that my company puts out, for a long time, it was cheaper just to boost that post than to pay for the agency engagement or to pay for the internal team to hack the throttling of the release. So
Hmm.
we just hit this new inflection point where that formula is no longer working for these platforms.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'm tracking with your logic there. So you're saying because the cost has been driven down substantially for organic content production through AI, it's now broken past that inflection point, that convergence of paid media and paying for time, right? So, I mean, because all you're doing when you buy an ad, when you pay an agency to create organic content, you're paying for attention. You're
Exactly.
you're paying to be noticed by your audience. And whether that's in a paid ad or an organic content piece, that goal is the same. Historically, you have a higher chance of being noticed if you're using an ad because you can target and hard push that message, kind of bypassing the algorithms to your target audience. But now, because of AI, you can produce so much more content, better canvas your audience, and be seen. So, but what happens? What happens when everyone is on that train?
Mhm.
And my thought, just from being in marketing and seeing how many companies don't do any marketing now, like 20 years after digital marketing, you know, tactics really started emerging in the marketplace. I still meet business owners all the time who do little to nothing. Like they have a website, they don't do any SEO, they do barely any social media, especially in the B2B space. So I don't think the day will ever come that, or well, it'll be 50 years from now, right? I don't think the day is in the horizon that all businesses are using AI to just blast marketing content
Yeah, we
because
are
all
like,
businesses aren't even doing marketing today.
I I have learned enough through my own experience. To me, I feel like this is going to happen in August. I think the thing that you're talking, like in my mind, this thing is happening in August, and I have thought that about so many things in the past, um, and every time it's like 5 to 7 years away. So
Right.
I think we're 5 to 7 years away.